The moment has arrived. This is my NFL mock draft 2.0. Originally was supposed to happen on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So unfortunately, I do want to apologize for that. But here it is. The mock draft, my mock draft 2.0. So we'll first overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. No surprise here. They signed Tyler Linderbaum. They got Jalen Naylor. He's going to end up being a number two wide receiver. I love them adding more defense than offensively because of their because of the season they had last year with their defense didn't go well, and so bringing in Kobe Dean and Quay Walker and Max Crosby's returning. This defense is going to look a little different, but for the offensive side, I like Mendoza to the Raiders. The New York Jets, I have the Jets sticking with Arvell Reese. I think he's still going to fit in Aaron Glenn's defense. I know they just signed Josie Odigizua. They signed a bunch of defensive players, of course, but they need that one special player in their defense. I think Arvell Reese fits. Arizona Cardinals. So this one is, again, this is my 2.0. Some of these picks are going to be the same. Some of them are not. I have the Cardinals getting David Bailey out of Texas Tech. I think they need somebody alongside Josh Sweat. Now, again, they signed two right tackles. Now, both of them are backups, and they're probably going to end up being a starter right tackle there. They can go in that direction. I like them more in an edge rusher for them, and I think David Bailey on one side and Josh Sweat on the other side. Cardinals' defensive pass rush could look a little intriguing with those two. Tennessee Titans. The Titans, they got Wan'Dale Robinson as his number one wide receiver for Cam Ward. So why not bringing in another weapon, not a wide receiver, but a running back, Jeremiah Love. They're going to have questions with Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, and I think Jeremiah Love will fit in Brian Daboll's offense. He kind of has this Bijan Robinson style of offense. When I look at the tape, he's physical, he's athletic, and he has the speed. So that being said, I do think Jeremiah Love is going to end up going to the Tennessee Titans and a perfect fit in Brian Daboll's offense. All right, New York Giants. I'm keeping Sonny Styles, linebacker of Ohio State. He fits with the Giants, makes too much sense. He's been rising up above the boards, probably a top five linebacker now. I could still see Sonny Styles fitting in New York. All right, the Cleveland Browns. I got them Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State. They need a true number one receiver because Jerry Jeudy, yes, he's a number one receiver for sure. But they need somebody young enough to compete for him at that number one job. And I think Carnell Tate is the fit for the Browns. Commanders, I got them getting Ruben Bain Jr., edge out of Miami. I think, yeah, they got a bunch of edge rushers, yes. But they need a young pass rusher in Dan Quinn's defense. And I do think they add Ruben Bain Jr. in the mix. New Orleans Saints, I got the Saints drafting Mikael Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. Him with Carnell Tate will be a great young duo. And if they're going to compete in a wide open NFC South, look what the Panthers did. They drafted Teneral McMillan, and look what the Panthers did. They've won some games. They made it to the playoffs. It was a competitive playoff game, but falls short to the Rams. Can the Saints replicate that season and have their own kind of the Panthers season or Bears season they had? So Mikael Lemon fits. I like him going to the Saints. Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, I have them Francis Maligonia, tackle for Miami. I think he fits as a right tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. They need a young protector for Patrick Mahomes on the right side, and I do believe Francis Maligonia is their starting right tackle for the 2026 season. Cincinnati Bengals, I think it's going to be Caleb Downs. I know they lost Geno Stone, to the Bills. They did sign Brian Cook from the Chiefs. Why not bringing in another physical safety and Caleb Downs into Lou Emero's defense? All right, Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins. I got them Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. They need a true number one receiver after trading Jalen Waddle to the Broncos. I do think this is going to be the fit. Imagine the commentary team going, oh, here's Willis in the pocket, takes the snap, throws it to the end zone, caught Jordan Tyson for the touchdown. Touchdown Miami. Jordan Tyson is physical. He kind of has this Tenor McMillan comparison. The question is going to be, can he stay healthy on the field? He's been dealing with some injuries during his 3 years in college. We'll see if he can get through these injuries in Miami, but I like him fit with the Dolphins. Dallas, I got the Cowboys selected Kendrick Falk, edge out of Auburn. They are rebuilding that defense, and it is really, really darn good. And I do think the Cowboys will win the NFC East if they can keep this up. And I think Kendrick Falk should be a bow to the tie in this new Cowboys defense. Los Angeles Rams. If this were to happen, can you imagine Spencer Fano going to the Rams? That's my pick. The Rams are going to select Spencer Fano, right tackle, out of Utah. He perfectly fits in the right tackle position, and he is going to come in with a Hall of Famer quarterback in Matthew Stafford, Kyren Williams, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, whatever happens to his lawsuit. And then you got Kobe Turner. They got their tight ends also. So their offensive line needs at least somebody at the right tackle position, and I do believe Spencer Fano fits there. All right, the Baltimore Ravens. I got the Ravens selecting Mansour Delay, corner out of LSU. He perfectly fits with Jesse Minter's defense. They need to upgrade that corner spot. And yes, probably upgrade a little more defense. All right, 15, Buccaneers select Jamon McCoy, corner out of Tennessee. They lost Jamel Dean in free agency. They need to add another new number one corner in the spot. And in the NFC South, it is open. There's still a chance for them to win the division this upcoming season, but they need that solid number one corner, and I think Jamon McCoy should fit. Jets, I'm going to keep it with Ty Simpson. I think he's going to compete against Geno Smith for that starting job. And probably by week 5, week 6, we'll see Geno Smith getting benched. Ty Simpson being the starter for the Jets. On the Lions select Caleb Lomu, tackle out of Utah. Lomu could fit in right or left tackle. The latest report is Penei Sewell could actually go to right tackle. If that happens, they need to find either a replacement at right tackle or somebody at left tackle. And Caleb Lomu can fit there. All right, Minnesota, the Vikings. They move on with Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, adding another defensive tackle in this one. Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson, fits very perfectly in Brian Flores' defense. There we go. My name just came out. All right, first trade of this mock draft 2.0. The Carolina Panthers are trading down from 19 to 23 with the Eagles. Why? The Eagles are selecting Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. They signed Dallas Goedert to a one-year deal. It doesn't look like he's going to end up sticking around next season after this 2026 season. So bring in a young weapon for Jalen Hurts as for a next 4-year tight end. And that is, of course, Kenyon Sadiq. He's athletic. He has a good strength of body, good hands. He could fit very perfectly in Nick Sirianni's offense. The Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys will select C.J. Allen, linebacker out of Georgia. They need some depth at that linebacker and hopefully improve from the run game. I think C.J. Allen fits with the Cowboys. All right, the Steelers at 21. They select Vega Underwood, guard out of Penn State. They need to fix that left guard position, and Vega fits there. From Penn State's best guard and the best guard in this year's draft to now going to Pittsburgh with the Steelers in this Mike McCarthy offense. All right, to the Chargers at 22nd. Maybe an interesting pick. I'm going to go with Lee Hunter, defensive tackle out of Texas Tech. They need to boost up that defensive line if they're going to stop Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dobbins, and as well as Ashton Jeanty on the run game. So bring in Lee Hunter, who's a good run stopper defensive tackle, fits with that new defensive scheme that they have with their new defensive coordinator. Which is now we go to Carolina, 23rd pick. I think it's going to be Avion Terrell. I went with offensive line, I believe, in my last mock draft. Now this thing is going a little interesting with Carolina. And Avion Terrell fits with this Panthers corner. They need a new slot corner to compete with Cam Sean Smith-Wade. And Avion Terrell can play that slot corner. And I think he can compete for that third job. And probably he would be a future All-Pro for the Panthers. I think Avion Terrell will fit for the Panthers, as well as Ejiro's defense. All right. 24. The Browns selecting Moreland Freeland, tackle out of Georgia. He could end up being a top 10 guy, which I've seen a lot of mock drafts having him in the top 10. But in this one, I have him still in the late first round, 24th pick, going to Cleveland still, and he will fit in that Todd Monken's offense. He will play at left tackle this season. Bears. The Bears, I have them still picking Caden McDonald. They need to boost up their defensive tackle, and so I love him going to the Bears. Another trade. I have the Bills trading down with the Kansas City Chiefs. And with that 26th pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select Jillian Telemann, safety out of Oregon. They lost, of course, Brian Cook, as I mentioned earlier. They need to fix their safeties, and I do believe Dylan Telemann is a perfect fit to this Steve Spagnuolo defense. I think he is a perfect fit into Steve Spagnuolo's defense. All right, at 27, 49ers select Blake Miller, tackle out of Clemson. I think he's a perfect fit with where they're going with the Trent Williams situation. Really fits there at left tackle. Texans select Caleb Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida. Buffalo selecting Casey Quincinipis, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Yes, despite they had DJ Moore, they probably need another receiver in their offense. Miami, from the Broncos trade, The Dolphins select Brandon Cece, cornerback out of South Carolina. Could be a great number one corner for the Dolphins in Jeff Hafley's defense. New England, the Patriots select Akeem Mansour, edge out of Miami. And the defending Super Bowl champs will go with TJ Parker, edge rusher out of Clemson. That's it for my NFL mock draft 2.0. Hopefully, I'll do a 3.0 in 2 weeks or 3. You never know when I'll do a mock draft 3.0, but I'll keep you updated when that comes true. If you've not seen my other videos, go check them out on my channel. Of course, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that like button for more sports news.